Hello and welcome to Nightline. I'm Nakia Bashrud, news making the headlines. Education Ministry is in no hurry to abolish streaming, says Mazli. And Malaysia-Indonesia ties will continue to strengthen under Jokowi's leadership, says Prime Minister. Welcome. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad on Sunday congratulated President Joko Widodo, or better known as Jokowi, for his appointment as the President of Indonesia for the term 2019 to 2024. In his congratulatory message, Tun Dr. Mahathir also expressed confidence that the existing close ties between Malaysia and Indonesia would be further strengthened for the well-being and prosperity of the two countries.
Saya percaya Republik Indonesia di bawah gandingan kepimpinan Bapak Jokowi dan Bapak Ma'ruf Amin akan terus berjaya maju dan makmur. Saya yakin hubungan akrab serta kerjasama erat yang sedia terjalin antara Malaysia dan Indonesia akan terus diperkukuhkan lagi demi kesejahteraan dan kemakmuran negara dan rakyat kita bersama. Semoga Yang Mulia Bapak Presiden serta seluruh rakyat Republik Indonesia sentiasa beroleh rahmat dan keberkatan.
Tanya, jawabnya.
Tun Dr. Mahathir and his wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, were among 17 leaders and heads of state who attended the ceremony. Others included the Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah Muizzaddin Wadaulah, Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen. Earlier, Jokowi was sworn in for a second five-year term alongside his vice president, cleric Ma'ruf Amin, leading the world's third biggest democracy. This after an election that was dominated by economic issues and the growing influence of conservative Islam. The inauguration saw the 58-year-old pledging to cut red tape and keep building infrastructure to underpin growth in Southeast Asia's largest economy. He cited his dream of Indonesia becoming one of the world's top 5 economies by 2045, with a GDP worth $7 trillion. Jokowi also made improving education a top priority to encourage investment and create jobs for a youthful population of 260 million people. The president also said he would push 2 bills to replace laws that have hampered job creation, as well as warning he could sack underperforming civil servants. His cabinet, meanwhile, would be named on Monday. The Education Ministry is in no hurry to announce the abolition of arts and science streams in Form 4 next year. According to its minister, Mazli Malik, the ministry has not made any policy announcements on the matter and would instead review all aspects, including engagement and employment, before announcing the move at the right time. Mazli said this when asked to comment on the National Council of Professors, NCP, who advised the government not to be hasty in abolishing the arts and science streams in Form 4 from next year.
Jadi mahu ataupun tidak mahu, kita kena mempersiapkan diri ke arah tersebut. Cuma kalau kata terburu-buru, tidak. Ini semua memang dalam proses libat urus, pengkajian, dan kita mengambil segala segenap aspek sebelum pelaksanaannya.
He said this to the reporters after attending the Jom Sekolah 2020 campaign at SMK Teluk Kerang in Pontian, Johor on Sunday. The minister also stressed that what he mentioned during a town hall session in Germany recently was not a policy announcement, saying the intention was to make sure students were not burdened by streaming in the future. He then explained that the abolition of streams was also part of the report of the Cabinet's Committee's Policy Review Committee, which was requested by Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. He further added that the current streaming system carried out in Form 4 was ridiculous, as it resulted in many students who were meant to be scientists ending up in arts, while several of students who were born to excel in the arts being forced to do science subjects. On another matter, Mazli Malik said the decision by the Education Ministry to ban the controversial comic titled Belt and Road Initiative for Win-Winism was done on the advice of the Home Ministry. He further explained that this was because such printed matter came under the purview of the ministry in accordance with relevant legislation.
Jadi kita bertindak di atas nasihat Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Jadi cuma sebarang komik politik, buku politik ataupun propaganda untuk diedarkan pada sekolah, kalau boleh kena melalui salurannya lah. Dan kalau boleh melalui KDN, kerana kita mempunyai undang-undang. Jadi kita bertindak di atas landasan rule of law ataupun landasan undang-undang. Apa-apa hal kita kena rujuk kepada KDN kerana bahan cipta ni ada dia punya akta sendiri.
He was replying to the pressure from 43 grassroots leaders, including several DAP assemblymen who protested his ministry's move to stop the comics distribution at schools. Veteran journalist and popular blogger Dato' A. Kadir Jassin has hit out at Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Phuc for what the former described as talking down the market with his comments on Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB. He said the minister's comments had caused the market to dump MAHB shares. In his post on Facebook today, Dato' Kadir said at a time when investors and fund managers were jittery, the first duty of any minister is to talk the market up. In everyday language, to instill confidence, to push the market up. Dato' Kadir wrote that Loke's reported briefing to fund managers and analysts had the effect of talking down the market, causing them to sell MAHB shares. He said that he has been generally impressed with this DAP minister, but in this particular instance he was disappointed, adding that it was not the first time that ministers had shot themselves in the foot, adversely affecting government-linked companies' GLCs. Dato' Kadir, who is also the Prime Minister's Media and Communications Advisor, said a report in the EdgeMarkets.com yesterday had stated that the minister's remarks, which raised uncertainties for MAHB, had sent the airport operator's share price to tumble yesterday. It went down 7.6% or 66 sen to 8.04 ringgit, the biggest fall since November last year. It said the fierce sell-down wiped out 1.09 billion ringgit in market capitalization from MAHB, whose share price had been climbing steadily since April. The news portal said Loke, apparently speaking at a closed-door briefing, had said the government intends to adopt the public-private partnership model for airport operations. This meant that there could be new players, including foreign parties, to partner with MAHB in operating the domestic airports. Loke also stated that the government was also considering the restructuring of regulatory bodies in the aviation sector. Malaysia is not realizing its full economic growth potential, not having moved up the value chain due to its limited use of technology. Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Azman Ali said, as an example, skilled manpower comprised of only 27.2% of total manpower last year, noting that the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, WKB 2030, formulated by the government, is aimed at giving a new injection to the economy to ensure the country's development is more sustainable, inclusive and competitive.
Penstrukturan semula ekonomi negara akan memberi tumpuan kepada penggunaan teknologi tinggi serta inovasi yang dirancangkan melalui pembangunan R&D. Ikhtiar ini akan memacu transisi ekonomi negara ke arah yang lebih progresif, berpaksikan ilmu dan bernilai tinggi dengan pernyataan masyarakat yang menyeluruh di seluruh peringkat.
He said this when launching national-level celebrations of World Statistics Day and the 70th anniversary of the Department of Statistics Malaysia in Muar, Johor on Sunday. The Economic Affairs Minister said the main principle of WKB 2030, as stressed by Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, is ensuring equitability of outcomes as an economic strategy. For this, he said, collecting, compiling and analyzing data and statistics to facilitate the formulation and monitoring of policies should be conducted in a scientific, creative and innovative manner. The Human Resource Ministry clarified that there is no need to obtain the agreement of the Malaysian Trades Union Congress, MTUC, and the Malaysian Employees Federation, MEF, for any proposal to amend the Industrial Relations Act 1967. In a statement on Sunday, the ministry said there is a need to hold consultations with employer and employee representatives on matters relating to International Labour Organization, ILO, activities. The convention only stresses on the need to hold consultation and not to seek agreement, as claimed by MTUC and MEF. The ministry is also holding consultations not only with MTUC and MEF, but also other stakeholders, including non-government organizations, on other matters besides ILO activities. In fact, the National Labour Advisory Council, NLAC, states the similar requirement, which is to hold consultation and to seek agreement. The ministry wishes to assure all parties, including workers, that the amendment to the Act was made for the first time is a holistic amendment to ensure the Act heeds to the compliance of international labour standards. A detailed announcement on land acquisition in Kampong Baru in the federal capital will be made this Thursday at the Kuala Lumpur City Hall. Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad today said he had met and discussed with Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and Kampong Baru Development Corporation on the issue.
Secara umumnya dalam pertemuan saya dengan ahli lembaga Perbadanan Pembangunan Kampung Baru, saya dapati bahawa mereka kesemuanya kelihatan begitu upbeat, begitu seronok dan confident dengan apa yang telah dan sedang berlaku, dan ramai menggambarkan satu sikap yang optimistik, yang positif dan optimis, bahawa kali ini insya-Allah apa yang sedang dibentangkan dan diusahakan insya-Allah akan dapat mencapai kejayaan.
He said this at a media conference after the Kuala Lumpur City Hall's 50th Enforcement Day celebration at the Dataran Merdeka. When asked if the announcement on Thursday was a piece of good news and an improvement from the previous announcement, he said the announcement must be better. If not, there is no need to hold a media conference. On October 6, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the land in Kampong Baru, Kuala Lumpur will be sold to a government agency to be developed, not to other parties. He said that the government agency would help landowners develop Kampong Baru without neglecting the original features of the location. On September 21st, the government offered to buy land in Kampong Baru here at the rate of 850 ringgit per square foot as compensation to landowners and heirs in return for the redevelopment of the area. However, most residents felt the offer was unreasonable given the strategic location of the settlement and asked the government to review it. In Pahang, the decomposing body of a local man was found floating near a water pump at Tasik Paya Bungor near Jalan Kuantan Maran on Sunday. Kuantan District Police Chief ACP Muhammad Nur Yusuf Ali said the body was found at 10 a.m. by members of the public who were earlier involved in a gotong royong program near the lake. According to the New Straits Times, the deceased was identified as S. Raju, age 39-year-old, who worked as a mechanic. It was learned that the victim was believed to have been murdered elsewhere before his body, with his hands and legs bound, was dumped at the lake. A police source said the bloated body, which was fully dressed, was found floating several meters from the pump house. The victim was believed to have been dead for more than 24 hours. The body was sent to the Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital for post-mortem. The case was being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. In Kedah, a tornado-like landspout struck a village in Kampung Pida 4, Jerlon, on Sunday during a freak storm, uprooting trees and damaging about 10 houses. However, Kubang Pasu Civil Defence Force spokesman Captain Kamarul Zamal Kasa said no casualties were reported in the 4 p.m. incident. Videos of the phenomenon had gone viral in social media and WhatsApp. A landspout is a tornado that forms from a thunderstorm that is not a supercell. It is essentially the land-based equivalent of a waterspout. Still to come on Nightline, over 2.7 million ringgit worth of yaba pills seized in Kelantan. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The authorities should consider building fencing and install closed-circuit television (CCTV) along the Kelantan-Thailand border to discourage illegal cross-border activities. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Hasanuddin Hassan said the setting up of a fence and installation of CCTV would also help enforcement agencies check on smuggling activities.
Saya cadangkanlah, saya minta sangat-sangat kepada pihak tertentu adakanlah pagar atau tembok yang boleh memisahkan di antara negeri Kelantan dan juga negara Thailand. Ini untuk menyenangkan semua pihak. Mungkin ada yang di kalangan mereka tertentu yang akan mengatakan bahawa ini akan menyusahkan kehidupan seharian mereka. Itu pandangan dia. Tetapi pandangan saya sebagai salah seorang agensi penguat kuasa di sini, katakan tiada kata untuk elak daripada aktiviti-aktiviti yang menyalahi undang-undang yang ada.
Speaking after spending almost an hour visiting the border on Saturday, Datuk Hasanuddin added that the Thai authorities had already set up a fence as well as CCTV at their side of the border area to check on cross-border activities. Therefore, he believes Kelantan should also be equipped with these things. At the moment, Kelantan is only separated with Thailand by the shallow Golok River. Kelantan Customs busted a syndicate trafficking 270,000 yaba pills worth 2.7 million ringgit. State Customs Department Director Mohammad Rakbi Mat Saud said the seizure was conducted in an operation dubbed Ops Sinar 2019 last Wednesday on a Thai-registered Toyota Camry car parked at Wakaf Cheye in Pasir Mas. An inspection of the car found no valid documents, and after waiting for 6 hours when no one came to get the car, the authorities seized the vehicle. 45 yellow packages containing horse pills hidden in the back of the car boot, which had been modified. Police also seized the Toyota Camry, which is estimated to be worth 30,000 ringgit for further action, and believe the horse pills were for the domestic and foreign markets. The case was being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, and if convicted, could be sentenced to death. The Customs Department is urging people who have information on smuggling, storing, possessing and transporting prohibited items, such as cigarettes or other contraband goods, to report directly to the Customs Department hotline. In Kuala Lumpur, 9 policemen have been arrested in raids at 2 entertainment centres in the capital on Saturday. Bukit Aman Integrity and Standard Compliance Department Director Datuk Zamri Yahya said the policemen, aged 23 to 53 years, were detained in the operation, which started at 10:30 p.m. and lasted for more than 5 hours. Datuk Zamri said all 9 tested negative for urine tests conducted on them. He said disciplinary action would be taken against all the policemen for going against orders to not visit entertainment outlets as instructed by the Inspector General of Police, IGP, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur. In Sabah, another adult bull pygmy elephant has been found shot dead with its tusks missing, this time at a plantation in Baluran district. The elephant had several gunshot injuries compared to the more than 70 bullet wounds found on an adult male pygmy in East Coast Tower district on September 25th. Sabah Wildlife Department Director Augustine Tuga said the carcass of the pygmy elephant was discovered by plantation workers on Saturday morning. Tuga said investigators are working closely with security forces to find the culprits. It is learned that the elephant has been dead for at least 3 days. In Kuala Lumpur, a man has sustained internal injuries after he fell 20 meters at Bukit Tabor, Taman Malawati, near Ampang on Sunday. The Selangor Fire Operations Centre said in a statement that it received an emergency call at 8:44 a.m. regarding the incident involving Chong Chan Ho, age 32. 6 members on a motorcycle from Ampang Fire and Rescue Station were rushed to the scene. Chan Ho was safely taken down and was taken to Ampang Hospital for further treatment. After the break, Boris Johnson could be held in contempt of the court. Details after this breather. Welcome back. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson could be held in contempt by a Scottish court after he urged European Union EU leaders to ignore his letter asking for an extension to the Brexit deadline. Scotland's most senior judge, Lord Carloway, and 2 other judges will hear allegations on Monday that the Prime Minister broke a promise he made to the court that he would not try to sabotage that request for an extension. The UK government's lawyers pledged in writing and in court earlier this month that the Prime Minister would honour the provisions of the Benn Act, seeking an extension to Article 50 if he failed to get a Brexit deal passed by 19th October. After losing a knife-edge Commons vote on Saturday on a delay to his deal, Johnson sent an unsigned copy of the letter required by the Act and also sent another personal letter to Brussels that explicitly asked EU leaders not to agree yet to an extension. Over in Syria, Kurdish forces will pull back from a border area in accordance with a U.S. brokered deal. This after Turkey allows the evacuation of its remaining fighters and civilians from the besieged Ras Al Ain town. Officials said the plan for evacuation is set for the following day if there are no delays. Kurd forces would then withdraw and move back 30 kilometers from the border after the planned evacuation, and only after that will the forces pull back from a 120-kilometer area between the towns of Ras Al Ain and Tal Abyad. This is the first time the Kurdish force has publicly acknowledged it will withdraw from the border, saying it has coordinated with the Americans. A 5-day ceasefire reached in negotiations between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and U.S. Vice President Mike Pence was largely holding along Turkey's border with Syria on Sunday, despite accusations of violations from Turkish allied forces and Kurdish fighters. That sports item wraps up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Nakia Bashirin. Thank you for watching and take care.